Good morning, I'm Monica Bessam. I'm here to do my source presentation number 3 on Fulcher of Chartres. He was a French chaplain during the First Crusade, and this piece is self-titled, and it's historically, he was the chronicler. Also, he kept counsel for Stephen of Blois, who was the King of England, and he would become the chaplain for Baldwin of Boulogne, who would become Baldwin I of Jerusalem, the first king. The title is Fulcher of Chartres. History is written as a first-hand account. Number 3, the people were there in Jerusalem were Christians, and they were in service to God. They came from foreign lands, and yet they were so few that they were not considered a threat. Only no one dared to try to fight for them, as they were survived because of the Almighty and His providence. The promise of everlasting life for their service, noted on page 86. The Genoese would come and be offered safe harbor in 1100 through 1101. The Venetians would come later in 1123 in order to help further the work of God with a large army. As the people intermarried, there became offsprings, and many of the Saracens and Assyrians and were all baptized and kind of brought into the fold. The major themes that it represented were that the Christians are doing God's work and would be eternally rewarded. Also, that there seems to be a hedge of protection over them for helping the cause. And the new people who are from various lands who are also baptized are being brought into the fold. Number 5, in our concise history of the Crusades book, it confirms that this was the movement to protect the Holy Land during the First Crusade, and also that there were only 2 allies, and that would be the Pisans, P-I-S-A, Pisa, and the Venetians. And they began constructing their large fleets, and the people of Pisa gave a fleet of 120 ships that they created in 1098, and the Venetians took longer, and due to their own civil unrest, and they would send 200 ships in July of 1099, as the book also notates. Question 6. This is a great historical source. It tells of the faithfulness that the French chaplain had, and possibly during some despairing times that he never mentions, as there's a large gap. I can't imagine what it felt like to be such a small group of people trying to protect themselves in a landscape that they didn't know, and trying to live there in devotion. Also, the perspective he gives is not boastful, but rather is upbeat, and he wants to make his mark on history, possibly just talking about this dedication and really feeling that God was with them. And the source changed my mind and my opinion of the historical topic is after the sources that we read last week, they were pretty bloody and very descriptive as to what was happening in the desert as they came across all these other non-Christians. And it was like Fulcher would rather highlight the positives and the protection that they felt from God over the land. Also, he is very grateful as to the Venetians coming, as he spent a lot of time in the description of what they did and how they came there. And also, he must have been a very knowledgeable person himself and a very devoted spiritual leader in order to have served 2 kings, and that they had him as a confidant and a chaplain. Well, that's everything I have, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.